For years, Hollywood has whispered about Diane Lane's love life. The stunning actress, known for her grace and talent, has been at the center of shocking rumors, secret affairs, and untold stories. But now, at 60, she is finally breaking her silence. Diane Lane has always been a mystery. Despite decades in the spotlight, she has kept her personal life private, never giving in to the media frenzy. But behind the scenes, there have been whispers, stories of scandalous romances, forbidden affairs, and Hollywood's obsession with her love life. So why now? Why, after all these years, has Diane Lane decided to tell her side of the story? The answer may surprise you. Diane has seen it all: fame, love, heartbreak, and betrayal. But for the first time, she's ready to reveal the truth about the affairs that shocked Hollywood. She's setting the record straight on the romances that made headlines, the relationships she kept hidden, and the deep personal struggles she faced behind closed doors. The untold story of Diane Lane's childhood. Diane Lane has always carried herself with a quiet elegance. Her beauty, talent, and charm have made her one of Hollywood's most beloved actresses. But behind the glowing lights and red carpets, Diane's early years were anything but glamorous. Her story is not just about fame, it's about survival, resilience, and the search for love and stability in a world that felt anything but secure. Diane Colleen Lane was born on January 22, 1965 in New York City. Her mother, Colleen Farrington, was a stunning nightclub singer and Playboy centerfold model. Her father, Burton Lane, was a respected drama coach and cab driver. With parents like these, it seemed Diane was destined for a life in the entertainment world. From the outside, it looked like a glamorous start, having a mother who was a famous model and a father involved in the arts. But behind closed doors, things were far from perfect. Her parents had a passionate but troubled relationship. Love, arguments, and ambition clashed constantly. By the time Diane was just a baby, their marriage had fallen apart, and this divorce would change the course of Diane's entire childhood. Parents divorce, moving between homes and feeling lost. After the divorce, Diane's custody became a battle. Her father, Burton, won custody of her, which was unusual at the time, but despite being in his care, life wasn't stable. Burton was passionate about the arts, but he struggled to make ends meet. Diane grew up in a tiny apartment in New York City, living in a room above a theater where her father taught acting classes. It wasn't the kind of childhood where she played in a backyard or had a cozy family home. Instead, she was surrounded by actors, scripts, and the unpredictable nature of her father's career. Despite the instability, Diane adored her father. He was her rock, the person who introduced her to the world of acting. But there was always a part of her that longed for a more traditional family life. Her mother, on the other hand, had left for Georgia to pursue her own dreams. She would come in and out of Diane's life, and for a long time, Diane felt torn between the two worlds, her father's struggling but loving environment, and her mother's distant but glamorous life. The biggest shock came when Diane was just 13 years old. Her mother kidnapped her and took her to Georgia, away from her father. This wasn't a dramatic escape in the middle of the night. Her mother simply decided that it was time for Diane to live with her. Diane, confused and scared, found herself in an entirely different world. But she wasn't the type to sit back and let life control her. Instead of staying in Georgia, she made a bold decision. She ran away back to New York. At just 14 years old, Diane Lane was living alone in the city, completely independent. How her troubled childhood shaped her views on love and trust. Growing up without stability left a mark on Diane. She had learned from a young age that love wasn't always reliable. People could leave, trust could be broken. Her parents, despite loving her, had their own dreams, struggles, and conflicts. As a result, Diane had to raise herself in many ways. She learned independence at an age when most kids were still playing with toys. This had a profound effect on how she saw relationships. She became fiercely independent. She never wanted to depend on anyone emotionally or financially. She had trouble trusting love. Watching her parents' marriage fall apart, then being taken from her father by her mother, made her question whether love was truly stable. She learned to adapt. Moving between different homes, different cities, and different lifestyles taught her how to adjust to anything, an ability that would later serve her well in Hollywood. But it also made her crave deep, true love. Diane didn't want to repeat her parents' mistakes. She wanted a love that was strong, lasting, and real. This desire, however, would lead her into some of Hollywood's most complicated and scandalous relationships. As Diane grew older and entered the entertainment industry, she carried these childhood wounds with her. She longed for security and connection, but she also had a deep fear of being abandoned or hurt. This emotional battle would later play out in her personal life, leading to the scandalous affairs and dramatic love stories that would make headlines. But before we dive into those shocking revelations, let's take a look at how Diane's career skyrocketed and how Hollywood's obsession with her personal life began. Diane Lane's rise to fame. Diane Lane's journey from a troubled childhood to Hollywood stardom is nothing short of incredible. She wasn't just another pretty face trying to make it in the industry. She was a force of nature, a young girl who had lived through heartbreak and hardship but never let it define her. By the time she was a teenager, Diane had already lived more life than most people twice her age. She had been kidnapped by her own mother, lived alone in New York City, and navigated a world that often treated her like a grown-up long before she was ready. But instead of letting those struggles break her, she used them as fuel. Hollywood took notice, and soon the world would fall in love with Diane Lane. The bright young actress Hollywood couldn't ignore. Diane's entry into acting wasn't a coincidence, it was fate. She grew up surrounded by theater thanks to her father, who was a drama coach in New York. From a young age, she was captivated by storytelling and the emotions that actors could bring to life. At just 6 years old, Diane started performing in theater productions. She had a natural gift, a presence that demanded attention, even as a child. By the time she was in her early teens, it was clear she wasn't just a kid playing pretend. She was an actress, and a damn good one. Her big break came at the age of 13, when she landed a role in A Little Romance, 1979, a romantic drama where she starred alongside Laurence Olivier. Imagine being just a teenager and working with one of the greatest actors of all time. But Diane wasn't intimidated, she shined. Critics were blown away. Who was this young girl with such grace, depth, and screen presence? They called her the next big thing, and Hollywood directors lined up to work with her. For a while, it seemed like Diane Lane was unstoppable, but Hollywood is never that simple. Breakthrough roles that skyrocketed her career. After the success of A Little Romance, Diane's career took off. She became one of the most sought-after young actresses in the industry, starring in several major films throughout the 1980s. Some of her biggest early roles included The Outsiders, 1983. Directed by Francis Ford Coppola, this film became a pop culture phenomenon. Diane starred alongside young heartthrobs like Tom Cruise, Patrick Swayze, and Matt Dillon. She played Cherry Valance, the girl who was too good for the bad boys but too curious to stay away. Rumblefish, 1983. Another Coppola film, this one was darker and more artistic. Diane's performance was praised, proving she wasn't just a teen movie actress, she had serious depth. Streets of Fire, 1984. This action-packed rock musical showcased Diane as a badass female lead, further cementing her star status. By this point, Diane Lane was everywhere. She was young, talented, and beautiful, Hollywood's perfect leading lady. But then, something unexpected happened. A couple of box office flops put a dent in her rising career. Movies like The Cotton Club, 1984, and Lady Beware, 1987, didn't perform well, and suddenly Hollywood started turning its back on her. For a while, Diane struggled. She had gone from being the industry's golden girl to being seen as just another actress who had lost her momentum. But Diane Lane wasn't about to disappear. She took a step back, reassessed, and came back stronger than ever. By the 1990s and early 2000s, Diane Lane had reinvented herself. She was no longer just the fresh-faced teen from the 80s. She had become a woman who knew exactly who she was and what she wanted. Hollywood fell in love with her all over again. Her big comeback happened with the film A Walk on the Moon, 1999, where she played a housewife who has an affair during the summer of Woodstock. The film was emotional, sensual, and powerful, and Diane's performance was breathtaking. Then came the role that changed everything, Unfaithful, 2002. This was the movie that made Diane Lane a legend. In Unfaithful, she played a woman caught in an intense extramarital affair, torn between guilt and desire. Her performance was so raw, so emotional, and so real that she earned an Academy Award nomination. Critics called her performance one of the best of the decade. Fans couldn't get enough of her. And once again, Diane Lane was at the top of Hollywood. But with fame comes scrutiny. The industry and the media had one question: how does Diane Lane make these roles feel so real? Is there something in her personal life that she's not telling us? The rumors started swirling. Was Diane's on-screen passion a reflection of real-life affairs? Was she as innocent as she seemed? Or was there a darker side to her love life? Suddenly, the world wasn't just interested in Diane Lane, the actress. They wanted to know about Diane Lane, the woman. Her relationships, her affairs, her personal secrets. Hollywood wanted it all. And soon, the scandals began. Was Diane Lane's reputation as America's sweetheart really what it seemed? Or was there another side to her, one that the public was never supposed to see? Love, fame, and controversy. Diane Lane was not just one of Hollywood's most talented actresses. She was also one of its most desired women. With her classic beauty, effortless charm, and undeniable talent, she captivated audiences and fellow actors alike. From the moment she stepped into the limelight, Diane attracted attention not just for her performances, but also for her personal life. The media followed her everywhere, eager to uncover details about the men she dated, the heartbreak she endured, and the rumors that surrounded her. Some relationships were sweet and romantic, others were intense and passionate, and a few ended in heartbreak. Through it all, Diane learned that love in Hollywood was never simple. Diane's first brush with romance in the industry came at a young age. Growing up in the entertainment world meant she was constantly surrounded by good-looking, ambitious men who were just as hungry for success as she was. One of her first high-profile relationships was with Christopher Lambert, the French-American actor best known for his role in Highlander. They met in the 1980s and had an instant connection. However, their relationship was more of a whirlwind romance than a lasting love story. They drifted apart as their careers took them in different directions, but fate had other plans for them later. Diane also dated several Hollywood heartthrobs over the years, including actors who were at the peak of their fame. One of the most talked about relationships was with Timothy Hutton, an Oscar-winning actor with a reputation for being both charming and unpredictable. Their romance was passionate but short-lived, as their busy schedules and the pressures of fame made it difficult to maintain. There were also rumors of flings and secret relationships with some of Hollywood's biggest stars. Because Diane was always seen as elegant and graceful, the idea that she could have been involved in scandalous affairs made the tabloids go wild. Whether the rumors were true or just exaggerated gossip, Diane became one of the most talked-about women in Hollywood. Her first major heartbreak and how it changed her. One of the most defining relationships of Diane's life was her marriage to Christopher Lambert. Even though they had dated briefly in the 1980s, it wasn't until a decade later that they reconnected. When they met again, it felt like destiny. They got married in 1988 and had a daughter together, Eleanor. For a while, it seemed like Diane had finally found the love she had been looking for. She had a family, a successful career, and a seemingly stable life. But Hollywood is not an easy place for marriages. The constant pressure, long filming schedules, and the demands of being in the public eye took a toll on their relationship. Despite their deep connection, Diane and Christopher struggled to keep their marriage together. In 1994, after 6 years of marriage, they divorced. The split was heartbreaking for Diane, not just because of the love she lost, but because of the impact it had on her daughter. She had always wanted to give Eleanor a stable family life, something she never had growing up. The divorce felt like a personal failure. This heartbreak changed Diane in many ways. She became more guarded, more private about her relationships. She still believed in love, but she was more careful about who she let into her heart. The price of fame. Did Hollywood control her relationships? Being a successful actress in Hollywood came with a price, and for Diane, that price was often paid in her personal life. The entertainment industry has always had a way of controlling the love lives of its stars. Publicists, studios, and even movie contracts often dictated who an actor or actress would date, marry, or even be seen with in public. Many stars were forced into relationships for publicity or kept apart from people they truly loved because it didn't fit the studio's image for them. Diane, being one of the most beloved actresses of her generation, was no exception. Her relationships were constantly under scrutiny. Every man she was seen with became a headline. Every breakup was turned into a scandal. The media wanted to shape a narrative around her love life, often portraying her as the innocent beauty caught in tragic romances. In some ways, this constant attention made it difficult for her to have a normal relationship. There were times when she felt like she couldn't trust the people around her. Was someone dating her because they genuinely cared about her or because they wanted to be in the spotlight? At one point, Diane even took a step back from dating in the public eye. She focused on her career, her daughter, and her own happiness, rather than chasing love the way Hollywood expected her to. But love has a funny way of finding people when they least expect it. After years of focusing on herself and her daughter, Diane found love again in the early 2000s. This time, it was with actor Josh Brolin. Josh was known for being rugged, charismatic, and incredibly talented. Their romance was passionate, and after dating for a while, they got married in 2004. For a time, it seemed like Diane had finally found the love she had been searching for. However, their marriage was not without its troubles. Josh had a troubled past, and their relationship had its ups and downs. In 2013, after nearly a decade together, they announced their divorce. Once again, Diane found herself heartbroken, but this time, she handled it differently. Instead of letting the pain define her, she chose to move forward with grace and strength. The scandalous affairs that shocked Hollywood. One of Lane's most notable relationships was with actor Christopher Lambert. The two met in 1984 during the promotion of their respective films and quickly formed a connection. They married in 1988 and welcomed a daughter, Eleanor, in 1993. However, the marriage faced challenges, leading to their separation in 1994 and eventual divorce in 1995. Following her divorce from Lambert, Lane began a relationship with actor Josh Brolin. The couple married in 2004, but their union was marred by public incidents. Notably, in December 2004, Brolin was arrested at their home and charged with spousal battery after Lane called the police, alleging he had hit her. Brolin posted bail, and Lane did not press charges, describing the incident as a misunderstanding. Despite attempts to reconcile, the couple divorced in 2013. Diane Lane and Richard Gere's chemistry in Unfaithful, 2002, sparked rumors of an off-screen romance, but their connection dated back to the Cotton Club, 1984. By the time they reunited, their professional bond had strengthened, built on mutual respect. Lane made it clear, their electric on-screen tension was pure acting, not real-life romance. Beyond her marriages, Lane has been linked to several high-profile figures, though many of these relationships remain unconfirmed. In the early 1980s, she was rumored to have dated actors Timothy Hutton and Emilio Estevez. Additionally, there were reports of a brief relationship with rock musician Jon Bon Jovi in the mid-1980s. However, Lane has not publicly confirmed these rumored affairs, and much of the information stems from media speculation. While filming Serenity 2019, Matthew McConaughey revealed he had a childhood crush on Lane. This playful revelation added a fun twist to their collaboration, but Lane clarified their relationship was strictly professional. Still, it made their on-screen tension all the more engaging. Lane and Robert Duvall's performances in Lonesome Dove, 1989, felt so authentic that rumors of an off-screen romance swirled. However, Lane emphasized their connection was based on professionalism and a shared dedication to storytelling, making their performances all the more compelling. During The Outsiders, 1983, Lane and Christopher Atkins shared a brief but memorable romance. Though short-lived, Lane fondly recalls it as a youthful chapter in her early Hollywood years. Lane and Matt Dillon's chemistry in The Outsiders extended beyond the screen into a brief real-life romance. Though fleeting, they remained on good terms, and Lane has since reflected on it as a special part of her journey in Hollywood. While working on Judge Dredd, 1995, Lane's rumored connection wasn't with Sylvester Stallone but rather with director Danny Cannon. While many might assume that sparks flew between Lane and Stallone, the real story was different. The person who caught Lane's attention was none other than the film's director, Danny Cannon. During production, Lane and Cannon developed a connection that turned into a brief romance. Unlike some high-profile Hollywood relationships, their time together stayed mostly under the radar. They were discreet, yet those who worked on the film noticed their growing bond. Though their relationship didn't last long, they remained on good terms, even making appearances together at a few public events after the film's release. Up next is Lane and Nicolas Cage. They first met on Rumble Fish, 1984, and later reconnected while filming The Family Man, 2000. Their friendship briefly turned romantic but remained low-key. Even after parting ways, they maintained mutual respect and appreciation for each other. The impact of media scrutiny. Well, Lane's relationships have often been the subject of intense media scrutiny, with tabloids eager to uncover details about her personal life. This attention has sometimes led to misconceptions and exaggerated stories. For instance, the incident involving Brolin's arrest was widely publicized, casting a shadow over their marriage despite Lane's efforts to downplay the event. Despite public fascination, Lane has consistently chosen to keep her private affairs out of the spotlight. In interviews, she often redirects conversations away from her personal experiences, focusing instead on her professional work. This approach has allowed her to maintain a sense of normalcy and protect her personal life from becoming tabloid fodder. Looking ahead, Lane remains focused on her career and personal growth. She continues to choose roles that challenge her and reflect her artistic values. By maintaining her privacy and speaking out when necessary, she strives to navigate the complexities of fame with grace and integrity. Diane Lane's journey through love, heartbreak, and Hollywood's ever-watchful eye has been nothing short of remarkable. From a tumultuous childhood to an illustrious career, she has navigated fame with grace, resilience, and an unwavering sense of self. Despite the rumors, scandals, and media obsession with her personal life, Diane has remained fiercely private, choosing to let her work speak for itself. Now at 60, she stands as a testament to strength, independence, and the power of living life on her own terms. Diane's perspective on love today. Diane Lane looks at love differently than she did when she was younger. She no longer believes in the fairy tale romances that Hollywood sells. She has learned that love is complicated, messy, and sometimes painful. But she has also learned that love is worth it, even when it doesn't last forever. She has had great loves and heartbreaking losses, but through it all, she has remained true to herself. Today, Diane is focused on what makes her happy. She has found fulfillment in her career, in being a mother, and in living life on her own terms. She no longer feels the need to chase love or prove anything to the world. She has loved deeply, lost painfully, and lived fully. and in the end, that is what truly matters. For years, Diane Lane has been asked about the many men she has been romantically linked to. Sometimes she laughs off the speculation. Other times she simply avoids answering. She has never been one to openly discuss her private life, and perhaps that's what has made her so intriguing. But will new rumors about Diane Lane's love life pop up in the future? Probably. Because Hollywood loves a good story, and fans are always curious about what happens behind the scenes. But one thing we can all agree on: Diane Lane's grace, talent, and timeless beauty have kept her in the spotlight for decades, and they're not fading anytime soon. Whether she's stealing hearts on screen or impressing us with her incredible performances, she remains one of Hollywood's most captivating stars. What are your thoughts on Diane Lane's journey? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into Hollywood's most fascinating stars.